Welcome to the Natchitoches Parish meeting, a school board meeting. Glad you're here, and we're sorry that it's hot. We'll make that known right up front, but the air conditioner is working. So can you do a roll call for us, please, ma'am?
Mr. Danzy?
Yes.
Mr. Matuire?
Here.
Mr. Benefield? Mr. Harris?
Present.
Mrs. McGaskey?
Present.
Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Ms. Phelps?
Here.
Ms. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Fradu?
Here.
Mr. Nicholson? And Ms. Page?
Here.
We have a quorum.
And we'll go to item number 2, superintendent's report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. One of our favorite things to do is to honor our Students of the Year. So the first part of my superintendent report, I'm going to turn over to Miss Anita as she honors these fine young people. We're going to get some pictures and hand out some plaques.
Okay, happy to see you all here today on your summer break. I appreciate that. I'll ask Dr. Eloy to come up and help me. Before I present the certificates to the students, there's some people I would like to thank who help me every year, and without whose help I could not do this, and that's my committee members. So I would like to thank Miss Linda Page, Miss Reba Phelps, Miss Catrice Belo, who is feeling under the weather today. She's not going to be able to make it. But Mr. Dennis Breland, Carmela McCart, and Miss Corey Poole. Thank you all for every year coming to help me. They probably give me about 3 days of their very busy schedules to do this every year, so I appreciate that. I'd also like to thank BOM for sponsoring us every year, and Peggy's Pizza, who always gives me a great discount on pizzas for the Students of the Year. So without further ado, we will recognize these very special young people that we have in attendance today, okay? I will start with the 5th grade Students of the Year. First, we have Miss Sharon Baptiste from East Natchitoches.
Why don't you stand right over here? We'll make a line of y'all.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, from NSU E-Lab, Miss Chloe Kaufman. From Natchitoches Magnet, Josiah Harris. From Marthaville, Jesse Clark. Fairview, Dan Davenport. From Provençal, Natalie Broadway. And from Goldana, Bryson Carter. Now for the 8th grade Students of the Year, from Goldana, Miss Carly Spears. Lakeview Junior High, Gavin Franks. Provençal, Anna Nance. From Montville, Cameron Brigman. From Natchitoches Magnet, Kylie Hickman. NSU Midland, Nathaniel Young. Natchitoches Junior High, Delilah Jackson. on to our 12th grade winners. Lakeview High School, Samaya Rachel. From Natchitoches Central, Emma Giddens. And from Natchitoches Parish Technical and Career Center, Johnny Ty. All right. Yes, let's get a picture of this. So let's give all of our winners.
Parents, if y'all just want to get some pictures. Yeah, come on up. This is the only time I've been in a picture for Students of the Year because I was never Student of the Year.
That looks so pretty.
All right, let's give these Students of the Year another round of applause.
But we're not done yet. We have our overall winners next. But you all can sit down if you would like. Thank you so much and congratulations. Okay, the overall, all of you are winners, and you're all wonderful. Every year I'm amazed by how much talent and that we have in this district, and it's my honor to do this every year. I really enjoy it. This page can vouch for how much we enjoy doing this. But we do pick an overall winner. My committee picks an overall winner out of all of the nominees. The overall elementary student of the year is Chloe Kaufman. The junior high student of the year is Nathaniel Young. And the high school student of the year is Emma Giddens, which is here.
Do you want a picture with me? Yeah. You already have one. Congratulations.
Okay, let's give all of them one more big old round of applause and the parents.
So, not only do we have all these Students of the Year, but the next part of my superintendent report is to bring to y'all's attention something you probably have already seen online, but Mr. Patrice LaCour was here last month, and he's now been named as LMEA Hall of Fame. And that is extremely prestigious, and he will be honored in November, and that's our second LMEA Hall of Fame in the past year, I believe, him and Miss Olson. So we want to congratulate him. We also want to congratulate Michelle Shirley. I was lucky enough to be a teacher leader with her this week, and she is now a finalist, which means out of the original Teachers of the Year that come from every school, every district, you're talking about they've dwindled that down from what, a few thousand, I think 6,000 originally, to down to 9. And so she will know her fate of if she is officially Teacher of the Year, Middle School Teacher of the Year, or overall Teacher of the Year in July. We will be in New Orleans for a ceremony for that. So, and I believe, Ms. Page, correct me if I'm wrong, we've had several semifinalists over the past 10 years, but this is our first finalist since Ms. Giddens. Is that correct? Yes. So this is a big deal. So congratulations to Ms. Shirley. I think she's got a great shot, but regardless, she's Teacher of the Year for us. So I want to bring to your attention, summer school has started. I'll be honest with you, we had some registration hiccups this week that several of it was students who thought they had registered or hadn't, or maybe they did register, but some documents were lost. But we were able to rectify all those situations within the first 2 days. And we start off with maybe a little bit lower number of students, but we now have the elementaries are busting at the seams, which is great because all those kids are getting everything they need, and everyone now has numbers probably in the 90% attendance rate right now, and we expect that to even increase for next week. So good stuff there. I want to bring to your attention, we will be, in the month of June, board members, we will be having several community meetings around the parish. We will be getting a list of those out to you with the dates, times, and locations. If you're able to be there, especially if it's in your district, we would highly recommend that you be there. We're going to be just talking about things pertinent to those schools and those areas and how we can be a more supportive board and a more supportive district to each one of those communities. So I think it's going to be some really good things that come out of those conversations. As I mentioned, we were at Teacher Leader this week. I can tell you it was very exciting. Number one, our teaching and learning team was asked by Deputy Assistant Superintendent Jenna Chason, Dr. Chason, to present there. And that's their second time presenting at the LDOE's request. When they presented, a lot of really good feedback. And board, anecdotally, I can tell you, Natchitoches was mentioned just over and over, the buzz about the academic achievement and the academic movement that we're taking. So it was really exciting to hear all the positivity specifically towards Natchitoches, which one of the neat things about that was what they presented on was on instructional leadership teams. But the specific content about the instructional leadership team was about an initiative that Natchitoches has been undertaking. And I'm looking at Ms. Erickson because she doesn't know that I'm leading into her section here. An undertaking we've been going through about literacy. As you know, literacy is one of the major big rocks of our district. It's also one of the major big rocks of the state. And you've probably known that district-wide, historically, we have not had great K-3 literacy rates. I can excitedly tell you that that is turning in a different direction, and I will not steal any of Ms. Erickson's thunder as she takes you through some very exciting news about where K-3 literacy is now in our district.
Good evening. I'm so excited to be here, and we're so very excited to share this data with you. The very first one is what we call cohort data. So what you're looking at is our kindergartners from the end of last year to where they scored at the end of this year. So you can see the pink. Oh, amazing. Thank you. So you can see that in the pink at the end of last year, we had 35% students proficient. Proficient means that they're reading on grade level or above grade level. This year at the end, we had 72% of our students reading on or above grade level. So that was an increase of 37%. Our first grade went from 31% to 61%. And our second grade went from 32% to 71%. So we have seen tremendous growth this year, and we are very excited and very proud of our leadership teams as well as our teachers who have worked so incredibly hard and tirelessly with these students. The chart is just kind of something so that you can see the growth in a bar graph type deal. And then the second one is our beginning of year to our end of year data, again, on the literacy screener. So first grade went from 39% to 73% proficient. First grade, 44 to 72% proficient. Second grade, 40% to 61%. Third, 32% to 71%. So our goal this year when we set it originally was for 70% of each grade level of our kids to be on grade level or above. So you can see that in 3 grade levels we exceeded that, which is amazing. Second grade, we are making some strategic actions to move forward with their continued growth, but they did make incredible growth. So again, it's if you see a teacher, I always say on Facebook, if you see a teacher, thank a teacher, tell them they're awesome. All of the credit goes to them and to their leadership teams who have worked tirelessly.
And just to add on to that, thank you, Ms. Erickson, but to add on to that, you've probably heard teachers lament, rightfully so, statewide, something called the science of reading. It's been an intense, basically class, almost like a master's class that they've been pursuing, and it's been a lot. They are getting paid for it, but we believe that, us pursuing that, also the fact that we call that explicit instruction, which I won't get into the details of that because it's too much. But then also our change in curriculum, and then just our instructional leadership teams, all those things together, and obviously our teachers' hard work has done this. And the way I like to explain it, especially in that first slide, you went to, in some cases, only a third of our students being able to read, to close to 3/4 of our students being able to read. And to put that in context, we talk about science, we talk about social studies, we talk about calculus. If our kids are on reading grade level, everything improves and everything gets easier, especially when they get to the high school. You talk about ACT improvement. We're going to see ACT improvement from these kids in the next 8 years. So this is exciting stuff. And I know she's being shy, and I know Mr. Legrand's being shy, but this also did take strategic initiatives from the district level, which I can't take responsibility for, but they can definitely put their name in the hat for that. So I appreciate this. And this is going to mean more for kids than anything, because if a kid doesn't learn to read by 3rd grade, their chances of going to prison and having all these societal ills increases exponentially. Well, guess what? We just saved some kids' lives here.
That's an awesome chart. It really is, and especially the
We are
third
very
one.
proud of them. Thank you.
That's like Dr. Elo said, that's going to save their lives.
So, quick question. Whenever we had the retreat and we learned all of the data that we learned, isn't this a lot sooner than what we anticipated? Is this quicker growth than what originally?
Absolutely, absolutely. When we set the 70% goal, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of like, oh gosh, okay, they for more than exceeded anything that I could have ever imagined. And that's why I said, thank a teacher, thank a leader, because they literally more than exceeded anything that we asked them to do. And then that's every single school in the district. We broke it down by school, we broke it down district-wide, and they more than exceeded it.
But I
So
will tell you, now I'm going to toot our horn. We are exceeding the state right now,
we are exceeding the state.
but
so, yeah.
you are seeing what Dr. Brumley is calling a reading revival statewide. And if you look at some of the statistics they put to us this week, I think in literacy we went from 49th to 41st in 1 year. For our African-American male students who were the at-risk subcategory, they went from 40-something to 11th. So you are seeing some of the moves that the state is making this happen statewide. I just feel like we're taking the state stuff and then we're going a step further. And so I can't wait to compare this to the rest of the state, because this is going to be significantly higher even than them. So. Mr. Legrand, please add on to it.
I just want to point out that we do have a strategic plan. We have a 3-year vision, we call it. You've seen that. And guess what? At the end of the 3rd year, our goal is for those numbers to be 3 digits. All of them be 100%. And that's a very aggressive goal, but we did this in basically 1.5 years, and now the next step's to take everybody to 100%.
Impressive.
Right.
So that concludes my superintendent report for this month, unless there's any questions about any of these items or anything else.
Item number 3, old business. Mr. Wascom.
Last month, we adopted a resolution for the levy of taxes for the upcoming year. In review of these tax levies with Foley and Jodell, we would like to, this document is exactly the same as last year, except for this line item right here. I had lowered this to 6, and it's not, we were going to restore it back to 8, because it was at once 8 last year, and we just want to bring it. And just in talking with council, it seemed best to stay at 8.
Just to clarify, you had proposed going down to 6.
Proposed at 6. It never went to
down
6. But in review, it seemed like it was too aggressive, and we need to keep it at 8. And so I'm asking for the adoption of exactly the same resolution with this one minor change.
Next Thursday.
Still went down from 12 to.
Went from 11.5 down to 8 last year, and I was and it was just a little too aggressive on what we needed to do. Okay, that's all on this subject.
Okay. You can review the consent agenda, and we'll vote on that next week. Is there any questions on the consent agenda? Then we'll go with informational reports.
As I mentioned, the new rule is that I have to report to you guys every month on the audit findings of the last audit. We do believe that all those issues have been resolved. Next month, when we do our budget adjustments, or maybe it might be as August, actually, we will take into account this time all the money being spent on summer school activities and get that corrected. So last year, we had adjusted the budget before we had posted all the summer school activities, which affected the budget, which put us into over the 5% rule. I don't know if y'all know, but if the budget adjusts by over 5%, we have to make a budget adjustment. We didn't do that because at the time of the budget adjustment, all those numbers had not been posted. So we will wait this year until they're posted and then make the adjustment. The other one, there were two. That's the main one is the budget adjustment.
Yeah, training.
Training, and we're headlong into that.
I think we're at 98% complete.
98%. So y'all know what I mean? Ethics training, all that stuff. They require us to do all that. The auditors even seemed a little bit embarrassed to write us up on that, but we were already in the process of resolving it. But the state legislative auditors are requiring us to, all districts and all governmental entities, to take this ethics training and be serious about it, or they will have an audit finding. So anyhow, I believe that I can assure you that these two audit findings have been resolved.
And item number 5C, receive and discuss child nutrition update.
Transportation.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped Miss Washington. She's coming. I'm sorry.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Well, summer school, of course, started. That's our biggest thing that's going on right now. We did get a list from K through 8th for summer school. We provided transportation of what the names that we did get, but because of registration going on while school was going, so we had missed a lot of the kids that we didn't have their names, so we had to go in and work that out. And then we got the list for high school students. So starting Monday, but today I sent out the updated list for summer school. So Monday we will provide transportation for everybody that's attending summer school starting Monday. We had our end of the year luncheon this past Wednesday, the 24th. Yeah, I think the 24th, for our drivers, and just appreciation, just to let them know, it was a tough year, but we made it, and we did. We still finished with 7 drivers down, but we still have some in the pipeline. We got 2 of them that's coming in with their credentials, and so we still working with the other ones trying to get their permit and everything going on that part. We have a driver that's works for the school board, Darlene Carney. She's retiring this year. And another 2 of your, they used to be your board drivers, Dexter Martin and Patricia Hall. They're going down to sub, so they're not going to be full-time drivers, but they've been in 30 plus years. So, I'm just still thankful that they still want to drive and we need them. So they're going to go out this summer as well. We had a job fair on the 30th and 31st at the Workforce Commission. Just putting it out there. We did advertisement on your website. It had an ad, then also Nash Parish Journal, and just word of mouth, just getting it out there that we are hiring. So we're getting hits from it on there. So we're working on recruiting. That's our biggest thing all summer, just to bring drivers in and everything. And so for those that are interested in our thing with that, just to get their permit, having trouble, to me, if they're coming in and for free, just for us to help them, then that shows initiative that they really want to work. So we are setting up a class Monday for those who trying to get their permit and struggling. Just come in and we work with them to help them study to get them prepared to go get their permit. So that's what we're starting at on Monday as well. Any other questions? Any questions from anybody?
So on Tuesday, which was for summer school, were there some logistic matters going on, or did the buses run?
Buses ran Tuesday. Well, we got from Miss Pinckney, we got names for K through 8th. We got those on maybe the 16th. And so we got routes together for K through 8th. And we did get those. They got them posted online and everything. But Tuesday, when summer school actually started, it had other kids, I guess, registered at that time, the day of, that they were not on the list, you know, the names that we got. So we had to try to make accommodations. So the end of the day, going home, and a lot of parents brought their kids to school, you know, Tuesday morning, but coming home, it was on the bus. So it was a lot of shuffling around just to make sure kids got on the right bus. And it leveled out because Tuesday was hectic, phone rang all day. But today it wasn't as bad at all, you know.
And I can tell you, we did, I think Miss Erickson, around 30 calls between Monday and Tuesday. We reached out personally to every one of those parents and were able to address, I think, 97% of their concerns, although the remaining 3% were things that were outside of any of our control. But we were able to address all those issues and apologize for any.
Yeah, and a lot of them were,
So if they called, like the logistical issues, if they called the day of and wanted to be added, we were able to get them in because we wanted every kid to have that opportunity as far as our numbers would allow.
Absolutely.
but Monday like I said, I sent out a new summer school list today. So we get that posted. So Monday, I'm sure we're still gonna get calls. It'll be just like the first day again. But we're more prepared because we do have more routes, more people driving and everything. You know, we went through the list thoroughly, so hopefully everything they can find what they need on the list.
And I do want to mention several of our calls, which we receive these every year, and I think I prepped y'all for this because it's what we do every year. We only have bus drop-offs and pickup spots. Now we try to, I think that has to be within so many hundreds of feet of everyone's home, but there are parents who do not like that system, and we hear them out, but we let them know that that is the system for summer school. And that's simply because of the number of drivers and the number of students and the logistical things. But we've been doing that that predates myself
Yeah.
and Miss Washington. So.
Any other questions? Okay, y'all have a good day.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay, it's Ms. Hicks.
Well, since I turned in my report, I was able to get in our May claim. So in addition to the $293,000 claim we had in April, I submitted one for $303,000 for May. There were 17 claiming days, and our participation held steady. We fed about 40% for breakfast and 80% for lunch. We did finally receive our supply chain assistance, not the $100,000 I was hoping for, but we got another round of $55,000, a little more than that. That was received in mid-May. All of the dishwashers have been installed in our cafeterias. Those are up and running. And Natchitoches Magnet, you know, I've been talking about the state equipment grant for a little while now, and they finally got those awards out. And Magnet received a new set of double ovens from the grant that I submitted, so that's exciting. That was installed this week. And I have a grand total. We served over 932,000 meals this year from August through May. Lots of kiddos being fed. And if Mr. Wascom will pull it up, we have an exciting thing to share. I wish I could take credit. It's not really my doing, but it's in my wheelhouse, so I get to talk about it. Marthaville will be getting a new cafeteria, and I don't know if anyone has had cause to be in the cafeteria at Marthaville, but it's really bad. It is like original to the facility, it seems. And this is not from our funds, this is from their BRE funds. But you can see right here, they're going to build in front of the existing cafeteria, so the students will continue to eat in that cafeteria all the way until the new cafeteria is ready to open its doors.
So for perspective, this is the new gym, this is the main park, and this is the old gym. So by footprint, you can see what a significant increase in size it is.
It will seat 180 students at one time. Will be nice restroom facilities. If the community wants to use that for anything, it will be nice, set up in that way. A beautiful new kitchen, an office finally for Miss Cindy, whose office is in the actual cafeteria. The kids filter by her desk to go get in line to eat. But it's just, we're very, very excited about this for Marthaville and for our staff and the students. It's just going to be a real feather in their cap out there. October 1st, they're getting ready to go to bid. Hopefully by about October 1, they could get started. And the projected, cross your fingers, date for occupancy would be in August of '24.
Approximately the cost of $2 million. That includes the demo of the existing building. There is no asbestos in the existing building, so we don't have to worry about that. This money is in their BRE. They have $3.2 million at this time in their BRE. There's plenty of reserve, so we do not have to pass a bond or any of that to get this building built. And this is much needed. This building is the current. If you saw the current situation of the existing building, it's incomplete.
It really is. So other than that, we received our paper and cleaning bids on the 30th. We opened those, and I was able to get the analysis done today. That will be on the agenda for Thursday for your approval for those vendors. It's a line item, so it's divided among several vendors. And that'll be on for Thursday night for your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks. Any
Since
questions?
you say that we still don't have our dishwasher at Lakeview as of yet.
Oh, no, they're all, I'm sorry, you have my old report, like I said, since
Okay.
board docs
Oh,
closed, and then
okay.
everybody's got theirs, yes.
Okay.
We're in good
All right,
shape.
Thanks.
Do y'all do the same, you feed for breakfast and lunch during summer school or
Yes,
what?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. All of our cafeterias are serving, all of the summer school sites have breakfast and lunch going on. We have 9 kitchens operating this summer.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Hicks.
Thank you.
Mr. Shirley will present his report next week. And item 5E, receive and discuss a budget update, Mr. Watson.
Okay. You'll see this last year, we had 44 million in revenues, but 1.5 million of that was a E-rate receiving for some technology that was purchased this time last year. So if you deduct that, we're right in line. We still have an increase of revenues over last year. And I think we're sitting pretty good in our budgets overall for total expenses. I am happy to announce that as it currently stands, child nutrition is $1 million in the positive. I certainly hope that continues on. That'd be a first year that's happened in a while. But we still do, of course, have June is a tough month on budgets because we have the payroll coming up that's going to be for not only the month of June, but July and August will be posted to this next month's budget. Okay? So that's why you always want to make sure you have about $3 million sitting there to cover all this extra payroll. Title I funds, once again, the difference between this bottom number of 2.674 million and this 2.13 is the money that has not been received yet from the federal government, but spending there is significantly higher than last year at this time, so that's all good. ESSER funds, ESSER 2, we do believe in talking with Sarah that the ESSER 2 funds will be expired before September 30th. We do believe that
3.
of 20.
ESSER 2 has
This coming September. So we do believe that this will happen. Now, we have another year for ESSER 3 funds.
And I will tell y'all, the word from the state is that there will not be an extension on expenditures for ESSER 3. everyone nationwide has kind of been hoping that they would allow maybe an extra year or 6 months. That will not be occurring, except for capital projects.
So anyhow, once again, Esther 3 is what's building our beautiful new building right out there. And they start putting the roof on next week, so that's good. There won't no more weather issues. Are there any questions regarding this budget? Okay. If not, I'll hand it over to Ms. Page.
Ms. Page.
Good evening. In case you don't know, May is very, very hard. It is the month that we say goodbyes in many cases to our long employees. It is also a time that we meet many new people. So this week alone, I met with several potential employees. One grew up in Canada, one grew up in Hawaii. I thought that was pretty neat. I want to remind you of our retirement luncheon, Tuesday, the 6th at 11:30. And we have our report.
And I know the retirees always appreciate the board being there. So, and it's a good meal.
When is it?
It's Tuesday at
6, right? 11:30.
What did I say?
is that
Location,
Oh, I'm sorry, June the 6th at 11:30. It's
Yeah.
a luncheon right over here.
media.
Media Center?
Any other questions from Ms. Page? Thank you, Ms. Page. So, Ms. Tankia.
Six, finance, facilities, services, and insurance, a change order for new IT building.
Okay. We have a change order. Apparently the dirt we're building all this on is kind of bad. We're asking for a change order to dig out the old dirt, put in new dirt that will not suffer. Have y'all ever noticed that the back level of parking lot over the years has always been cracked up and bad? That's because the dirt underneath it is really bad. So there's really no base. This basically is what the nature of this change order is. See where it says right here to prepare, to the cost to prepare and install soil remediation. That's basically to remove the old dirt and put in effective dirt in before all these parking lots are
That's a
forward.
change order of 31,000.
Change order of
31,585.84.
yes. Right, yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
31,585. So as they dig and they keep digging it up in soil sample, we may have another one or two of these come through as they keep digging up and finding more soil. They had the same problem with the front parking lot as well. So anyhow,
So this is for the parking lots.
this is for the parking lots, yes. That's all the nature of this is.
And that's what's going on in front of this building?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So several of y'all have asked about that. That was always part of the initial bid, but we had to add parking because with adding new people over there, there's city ordinances that require a certain amount of parking. So
Per square foot.
and I think we are short still.
One parking per 200 square feet. So if you had 17,000 square feet, you have to
Yeah.
divide that by 200 and to figure out how much.
That was
parking.
even we had to add that parking and
We added all this parking, a bunch more parking back here, parking behind the media center, and we still had to have a waiver of like 6.
yeah.
Telling you that 17,000 square foot building adds a lot of parking.
Who's making the call on these soil samples? Who requires a soil sample?
GTL is a geological service. They're drilling down and the soil sampling. Sometimes they wait till they peel the dirt and then they discover something that's not quite right. And
There's no way to do
they
this.
did it before, but they didn't discover how bad it was, how deep it was.
So, I mean, we had soil samples before, but
Yes, sir.
how did we not discover before?
That's what I was thinking.
And now, I mean,
I can get GTL in here to explain that one, but,
Change order is where they make their money at, is why I'm asking the question.
this isn't GTL, this is Pat Williams Construction, we're paying them. GTL is just, they're not the ones who are making this money. This is just strictly to remove the dirt and put in better dirt. Why they didn't catch it the first time, they did catch it the first time on where the building sits. It wasn't until they actually started doing the parking lot, so this is strictly money for the parking lot. Are there any other questions? Of course, if you look at your attachment, it goes on and on. Once again, remember that all federally funded projects have to have the Davis-Bacon Act, and makes us, some of that's attached here, that makes us go through a lot of hoops. And I don't understand it all, but we have a person with Pat Williams Construction that is properly filling it out. And that is all federal capital improvement projects have to be done that way. Just for future. If I forget, please remind me.
All that money.
It is everything. Okay. Any other questions about that change order?
Does it say on here how many feet of dirt needs to be removed?
It should. We should. It should let us know.
Soil sample remediation, drive attached E, tree removal. Attachments. Probably what it is.
Yeah, it's got.
If you see, they're actually taking the dirt here into this object, option A, B, and C, and it looks like they're actually putting some soil cement in there to create a base.
But Lee,
Well-
can we get the board some more specificity before
I
Thursday?
can have Dane come over here and explain it.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, I just need it done. I didn't really ask how many yards of dirt they were bringing in. I just needed it done to the specs of the geologist.
I'm sure they can provide us with that.
Sure, I'm sure he knows, yeah, because he had to order the trucks to bring. He has to order the trucks to bring it in.
So
once
we'll
approved.
have, if we don't have a representative from Pat Williams, we'll have
I can call Dane.
the amounts and all that fun stuff for y'all for Thursday.
So is this an added cost?
Yes, ma'am.
For how much?
31,000.
31.
See this balance right here, 31,585.
It's just like eggs. Dirt's expensive these days.
Well, once again, this is removal and putting in some.
Well, if they're adding soil cement, I mean, that's where your price comes in at, but
Yeah.
I don't understand adding soil cement for a parking lot.
This soil is a river-based soil. They said it's basically it's just gonna stay moving unless you put a base up below it.
You have to have a base.
Right.
What I'm kind of confused about is when they first tested. That's
I know that they were testing where the building was, and that was in the bid.
Yeah, and I'll be.
This was in the bid too.
It was.
They didn't.
So I remember them doing the soil samples, and I don't want to
I
speak
just
for them,
remember
but
they
I
were
can
there.
tell you they did those soil samples where the building was. I don't recall, because now we have the road that goes around that, and we have out here. I don't recall them doing a soil sample. There may have been some assumptions made, but I think if we get Pat Williams Construction up here, they can probably answer those better than Lee and I.
But you're actually leaning into Perry Watson's.
And Perry, because everything we say at this point would probably be somewhat conjecture.
And the other thing, I don't think I recognize or realize, as well as I think those of us on this board, that the project out in the front was a part of this back here.
Mm.
You know,
Well, because we had to add.
and I understand that.
We had to add so much parking based on square footage.
What happens with us is that we get a call and they say, well, what y'all doing out in front?
We didn't know.
And, you know, we just want to be able to say, yeah, well, that's part of the project that we're doing in back. That's the only thing we want to be able to say.
Well, but just to reiterate, well, number one, and y'all know this, y'all can call me anytime. I think y'all can call Lee too, but the other thing about this is I do want everyone to know, whether it's in public or on the board, that this was a part of the original cost of the parking lot. It was always a part of the original project. That was never added or anything.
Again, I don't think, I know I did, let me just say me, let me speak for me. I didn't know that, I thought all the work was gonna be back here, and maybe even this part of it. But to be in front, and I asked you about that, and you said you didn't know about that part of it.
I don't,
as well.
I don't, I'm not saying you're fibbing, because I just don't remember. But I've always known about the front part since they implemented it after the first initial drawings. They did the first initial drawings, which I think didn't have it. And the second drawings is when Perry Watson came in, and I was in that meeting. And I think I asked, why do we have in the front? And then that's when they explained to me about the city parking restrictions and all that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm excited about it because and this is probably too deep, but from a security standpoint, we're excited about having a one single point of entry because no one parks up there.
I'm excited too.
But
I think we're getting that for free, so, because it's all paid for by federal funds, we're not having to pay for this. So,
I would just like to add, since this is kind of my baby, we're still not near the budget. We're not going over budget yet.
not even close to it.
Not even close.
5.2.
This is all still within the budget.
okay. Any other questions? So I'll try to get Dane here for next week's.
Please.
You wanna go to?
Yeah.
Creation of Consolidated District 11 for taxing purposes.
Okay,
Oh, Mr. Walsman, do you mind if I take this?
certainly.
Okay, so if y'all recall, our new board members may not recall, but 2 years ago when we first brought up the idea of, and I'm going to say a word, I don't want anyone to freak out, consolidation of taxing districts. And if you recall, the original discussion was consolidating Provençal, Clucheville, and Marthaville. That is no longer the plan. The plan is to consolidate for taxing purposes, not schools, to consolidate for taxing purposes Provençal and Clucheville. The reasoning behind that, and I know that most of the board understands this, the reasoning behind that is because when Clucheville closed, the only taxes that they paid in terms of schools was the constitutional tax. That being said, their students and parish-wide, I'm sorry, constitutional and parish-wide tax, which I think is around about 11.7 and 4.
Those two combined is 11.65.
11.65 mils. They have, when their school was closed down, they had no BRE. They had no school to have a BRE. Their students are still being sent to a school, Provençal. In Provençal, you have around, I think we said, Mr. Danzy, around 40 to almost 50% of the students at Provençal come from the old Clucheville district. I think around 180 to 190 students. What we are proposing by combining the old Clucheville taxing district with the current Provençal taxing district is producing taxing district 11, which once created, then we would go, and I won't steal Lee's thunder on that, but then we would go to the Provençal and Clucheville communities and ask to create a new consolidated BRE tax to support that school, because currently, and I know you've heard this many times, Provençal is not producing enough to sustain their BRE. They have the lowest, and Mr. Danzy can attest to this, the lowest BRE in the entire parish because of the taxable base. And by bringing Clucheville in, that would increase that substantially. You'd be able to satisfy the needs of that school, and the students from Clucheville, their parents' tax dollars would be going to the school that their students attend.
So visually, this is District 8, this is District 6, taxing districts, not voting districts, taxing districts. We would be combining just these two districts into one district, the new district, Consolidated District 11. Russ remembers it much better than I do, but anyhow, the reason why we collect so little funds to support Provençal in District 6 is because at one time Clucheville Forest used to give us money when they harvested, apparently, Russ?
Yeah,
but now they don't.
yeah,
So we
National
only
Forest.
collect 115,000
You mean Kisatchie National Forest,
Saatchi National, yeah.
Clucheville.
But it's Kisatchie, which takes up a large portion, so it basically leaves a big chunk of, his district that doesn't really have any
So,
taxable
so to
assets.
summarize, this is creating a taxing district to support Provençal with the students that are currently going there. It has nothing to do with attendance zones. It has nothing to do with consolidating schools or anything like that. This is purely rectifying a taxing issue that was created by the closure of the Clucheville school.
And I will mention something to that effect. You know, BRE funds, we run out of them. I mean,
Best.
BRE funds, we run out of paper towels and, you know, just ordinary stuff. It's not, and it's very apparent that we don't have enough money to do that. So, you know, what we have to do is do the best we can with what we got.
Effectively, I would say for the size of the school you are, we need your BRE funds around 300,000 a year, and they're at 115,000. So we're always behind.
I have a question about Provençal. Didn't we pass a vote or something for them to get new buildings? Did they ever get the new buildings?
So the last time that Provençal received a new building was the junior high wing, and that,
There's a junior high wing.
how long ago was that?
2016?
Yeah, that's, yeah, it was.
2016 bond.
At one time for
Oh, you-
Provençal to have,
Oh, you might be thinking about, there was a playground part thing, the cement out there that,
Correct. There was a building that got torn, Hurricane Laura took out,
yeah.
and we replaced that.
And in fact, we've got missing, structure that, you know, for the kids to go, so they don't get wet going from place to place, and we still don't have that up there.
So you'll be able to do that with this change,
Right. Now, well, you know, the hurricane took it out.
extra money.
And the most dire situation, I think, at Provençal is their HVAC system, and which could go out at any moment, and we have to replenish their BRE to.
It's a $1.8 million fix.
Yeah, it's a big dollar item, and we don't have the money.
On the list, I guess y'all done thrown me and Mr. Danzy off the board, cause you got all the board members listed, but me and Mr.
Oh,
Danzy.
yeah, I saw that too. I didn't know if you saw it or not. I meant to.
So I guess this is our district, we can't vote on it, huh?
There's a,
Y'all don't vote on it.
where are we?
What are we talking about?
On the list of board members, I noticed that too. I meant to tell you that, Emil.
I assure you, that wasn't me.
It's on,
Well, we didn't prepare this. Foley and Associates did this, Foley and Judell.
Different than what you have.
Y'all have a different one?
On the agenda.
I'm pulling this off our website. Hang on a minute.
resolution.
It just has the spot for us to.
Y'all must be under
log
create
out.
a
Yeah, that
resolution.
resolution, yeah, we're not on there.
Oh, sure.
I didn't notice it either. Yeah, I noticed it.
We will have that corrected next week.
I did too. I read it and I'd forgot about it.
That is interesting. It's always 11.
By Foley and
Y'all
Judell.
want us to go talk to our people about passing it, y'all won't even.
Our side of the table made it on there.
It's definitely an oversight.
I'm like you, I did read it, but it was day before yesterday I read it.
Okay, so this puts us in a timeline of we would like to have the election at the November election. We have to follow this process. So next week, we would adopt the resolution, and I will make an announcement. Then I will put it in the paper here that in July, we will be calling for an election. Y'all see here, July 23rd. What is it?
And that election will be
Yeah. You see right here, it says school board calls election. That's at our next board meeting. And that's
It's just consolidation, yes, sir.
that's just strictly for the BRE funds for consolidation purposes.
It has nothing to do with voting lines
Or attendance zone.
or tenant zones.
Or anything like that.
Right.
Now on that, seeing where you got the, 13th by 12 p.m.
Wait, the 13th with what?
Up there.
Oh, yeah.
We got to vote on it before then, because our meeting won't be till,
No, okay, here, do y'all remember when we do election, we do a 5-minute board meeting?
okay.
That starts at 5 and ends at 5:05 for anybody that's in the audience and so if nobody's in the audience, then we end that board meeting, and at 5:05, we start our regular school board meeting. That's happened every time, just before an election. So what's that saying is that at 5 p.m., we'll have a board meeting, and we will call for an election and discussion. And then at 5:05, it will come to an end, and we'll stop that board meeting and restart our normal board meeting.
Well, what he's saying is your time says 12 p.m. on this.
On this, the 13th.
That is a September deadline for our notice to give, we have
June 13th, it says 6 p.m.
13.
It's not September, 6, 13, 20.
That's got 12.
That's for advertising.
12 p.m.
It's for advertising purposes in the official journal, which is Natchez Times.
Okay.
I was just making sure we didn't need to be voting on it before.
Oh, no, the 13th is,
Clearly so.
13th is fine. That's next week. So, Emil, you and Russ will be added next week. It's amazing. What an interesting oversight.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Go back to the dates again.
Sure.
6/13 falls on a Tuesday. Our June meeting is on the 8th.
That's just for
It'll need to go in immediately.
yeah,
Because
that's
we
just
only
an
have the two.
advertising date, I think.
Right, but
yeah.
they only publish
The way they
the
Oh, they only
weekend
publish it
and
once, you're right.
Thursday.
You're right.
And that 13th falls in between, so it would,
So there's only one published a week now?
no, there's a weekend edition, but I'm
But they need it
saying,
on that
on the
Thursday,
8th, next Thursday, you're gonna have to get it to them ASAP to go into the weekend edition.
Okay.
Because the next print won't be until that following, what?
I can't remember, but you're right. I know you're right.
There's so many times we have to put it in the paper. We have to do it.
Have to put it on
Yeah,
that.
and with them being our official journal, you have to abide by their timelines. So
Right.
we have to be careful about,
Cause that 13th falls in
Okay, so
between
basically-
publications.
That's a phone call to them to give them a heads up to maybe, because
So
they've held for us before.
Okay, I'll get the paperwork to
We
them.
need to talk to them like this week or,
Well, no, early next week, I'll have it ready.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions about the school board election in the new District 11? Okay.
Is that vote on the 13th on July, it's good? That's a Thursday?
The correct date?
I didn't,
It is a Thursday.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
Thursday.
Okay, that's good.
All right, Tankia, you want to keep going?
Recreational Consolidated District 12 for taxing purposes.
Okay. So, and again, I'll take this one. So this is what we did for future possibilities, I guess you would say. We wanted to create a taxing district for the Natchez Central feeder system. We don't currently have that created, and that can allow us to propose bonds in the future or things of that nature.
Correct.
Yeah, they kicked us off that one.
See that, I see that. Yeah, you notice I zipped right down to the bottom to see if you left off. I said, yeah, you sure did. I was like, well.
Kicked it off again.
Any questions on that?
Good thing we showed up tonight, wasn't it?
Okay.
Okay. Announcement of public meeting and the calling of an election to be held in Consolidated School District Number 11.
I cannot call the election until y'all create it. So normally I would put this into informational reports, but I will have to read a paragraph into the record next week after the creation, if created, of District 11. This is my short little read I've got right there. And that's essentially what's going into the paper. That concludes finance. But I'll stay here for the next one.
All right. We are going to executive report.
Mr. Wascom, you can actually have a seat because I think we're going to bring up or Dr. McAllister.
Dr. McAllister, yeah.
And I just want to, I know she probably doesn't want me to do this, but Dr. McAllister is going to come speak about the MOU, but I would be remiss if I would not include the fact that, unfortunately, it's bittersweet because this will be our last MOU that Dr. McAllister is involved in because she's going to be retiring, or I'm sorry, I think retiring.
Retiring in the state of Louisiana.
And she has been a wonderful partner with NPSB, and much of what we've been able to achieve, in I would say, improving the relationship and the connectivity between the two institutions has been because of her. And both on a professional level and just as on a personal level, I have appreciated her partnership. So before she talks about that, I do want the board to recognize that we're losing a great friend. So.
Good evening, guys, and you're right, I didn't want him to say that. I am proud to be ending 34 years in the state of Louisiana. And so I started when I was 11, if you just are curious. But I'm really, really excited about the things that you guys are doing. Your leadership team and the school board is so exciting to watch. And it's exciting to be a member of this community, and that's not changing. So thank you. But what I have been tasked tonight to talk about is a new MOU between the NSU Laboratory Schools and Natchitoches Parish School Board. Back in August of 21, Dr. Eloy and myself, along with several others from both parties, met together to try to create something that had been very informal for several decades. The lab schools are over 50 years old, but the previous MOU was about in the early 90s, and so there was really a lot of lost infrastructure about who's responsible for what. And so in August of 21, we did this, and so what you have here is the revision from August of 21 to May of 23. I hope that you'll have the opportunity to look at all of that. There's very little that's changed, but a couple of things I want to make sure that you're aware of. One, in August of 21, we put in a pilot program where only one principal would function over both campuses. And through a variety of events, including the assistant principal at the middle lab location losing a spouse very tragically, and us understanding when one of those players was missing, what happened to the school, in terms of security and coverage, et cetera. Both parties have decided that even though the middle lab school has 180 students, there needs to be a full-time building level principal there. And so that's part of this revision, is that there is a full-time principal. And so earlier, Ms. Page announced that the additions, and part of that is the middle lab principal of Natalie Ducote that was selected jointly by Natchitoches Parish School Board and Northwestern. And so if you look where Lee has that, Lee, if you'll look at under Natchitoches, I'm sorry, go back up to Northwestern. I have it here, and let me put my glasses on, guys, bear with me. It's at the bottom of page 1. The things that have changed under what Northwestern is going to pay for. Look at number 3. So this has gone back as part of our pilot. Number 3, through tuition dollars in Northwestern, we provide payroll and related benefits for one principal, one teacher, student workers work study that work at both facilities, and one unclassified aide. I certainly can provide more specificity on who those actual people are if necessary, but to know that those positions are funded not through the board, but through the supplement of the tuition dollars and for those schools. The other thing that is different or has a change from the last iteration is if you look in that same section, you will look at number 11, using tuition dollars provide a need-based scholarship program to increase access to all Natchitoches Parish residents. Scholarships are offered to all current and new students. That is what was part of the pilot program. It is now no longer part of the pilot, but Northwestern has committed to continuing that process as long as we can. We think that that's a very helpful and very necessary part of our collaboration between the schools and Natchitoches Parish School Board. Number 12 is something that we felt very strongly about in Natchitoches Parish. Dr. Eloy and Mr. Wascom felt, and it is something that has been a bit under this in the past couple of years, but Northwestern is committed to trying to raise that enrollment, and that is a target enrollment of 300 students at the elementary lab, that's K-5, and 180 students, that's 30 students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade at the middle lab. And so, again, that's something that both principals are very aware of, and something that they need to work towards making sure that those coffers or those classrooms are filled. In terms of what Natchitoches Parish is doing, there really has been no change from the 21 MOU to today. And then at the very end, we've added some terminology on that very last page. Lee, if you'll move to that, that rather than us saying that we're going to revisit this in 2 years or in 1 year, that this agreement is in perpetuity or until one entity says we don't want to do this any longer. And so it is not dependent on me or Dr. Eloy or anyone else, but we're committing entity to work together. And so those are really the only changes for the MOU. The Dean of the College of Education and Human Development will continue to be that point of contact. My replacement has been named. Her name is Dr. Neeru Deep. Many of you may know Dr. Deep. She has been active in the community. She's on the Boys and Girls Club board, the Ben Johnson Club. She's actually a faculty member in the Department of Psychology. But the college, if you recall, is a blended college. It's education and human development. But I think she will be a great addition to this collaboration. So do you have any questions for me? Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Does that conclude? That's it.
That was executive.
I'm sorry. That was A. B, discuss and consider approving MOU between NIET and Natchitoches Parish School Board.
Yes, so this is incredibly exciting, and I'm glad Lee pulled up this letter first off. This is a letter, scroll down, Lee, a little bit. This is a letter from Joshua Barnett. Josh is, I say Josh like he and I are buddies, but he is the CEO of NIET. And I don't know how much y'all know about NIET. I know y'all know we work with them, but NIET was created by a man, a billionaire, Mr. Milken. Mr. Milken is famous in education circles because if you win the Milken Award, that means you win as a teacher like 25 grand, and as a school you win 40 grand. And he just comes like Ed McMahon used to do, and he brings you a big old check, and it's amazing. And he has no agenda that some of these other venture capitalists have or venture philanthropists have. He just wants better education. He created NIET, and NIET is the reason behind a lot of systems and a lot of schools changing their trajectory. And the work we've done with NIET, I mean, it's been nothing short of amazing. I just can't sing their praises enough. Well, last Friday, I was sitting with my wife eating sushi and trying to have an adult day, and I get a call from Miss Kathy Noel, who y'all know is one of our consultant for school turnaround. And she actually called on my wife's phone, and I was like, that's weird. And I realized when I picked up my phone that I had multiple texts from her, please call me, please call me. It's because NIT reached out to her directly, and they said, we want you to run a national teacher incentive grant for us, and you get to choose the parish. What's interesting about that, they wanted Kathy, but they knew who she would choose. They knew she would choose Natchitoches, and they wanted her to choose Natchitoches because we are tailor fit for this grant. They want a parish that's been doing some of the NIT stuff, but is at that tipping point for massive change with NIT. It's not guaranteed, but for NIT to come and say, we want to do this grant with you, and they have a success rate that is very high on these federal grants, we have a very, very good shot at this grant. I'm excited to tell you that this grant is worth $8.5 million over 3 years, with an extension of 2 years. What this will do, and I shared this with the president earlier, what this will do is moving forward as we exit ESSER time, which I know we're all kind of nervous about. I've jokingly told people that as soon as ESSER money runs out, that's when I run out, but I'm not going to do that. That will allow us to pay our instructional specialists out of this grant without going to general. It will also allow us to give teacher incentive pay in large, significant, effective numbers.
Wow.
This is something that several districts that you hear about all the time, and I'm not going to mention their names because you've heard me mention them 100 times. It's all the top 10 districts in the state. They've all gotten these grants. This is a federal Department of Education grant if we receive it. Just to be selected, just to receive this email, I may frame this letter from Dr. Barnett, but just to be asked by NIT to do this is prestigious in and of itself. And if we win this, I'm just going to tell you that everything we've done is going to get ratcheted up to the point, we already have teachers wanting to come to us, but this is going to be a tipping point for us. So I'm excited to bring this to you. I feel like I know you can sense the passion, the excitement, but I feel like I'm still underselling it because this is just a huge deal. So all we're asking is that the MOU allows us for NIT for us to partner in this exercise to go after this grant. So very exciting stuff. Any questions?
So we'll vote on that Thursday?
Yes, sir.
And what do you think the timeline is after the deadline of June 28th?
So we should know something early fall.
That's awesome.
But again, anyone can apply for these federal grants, but typically districts don't win these grants. It's typically an organization like NIT, and then they go after them, which again they win these all the time. But they want to partner with a district, which makes their the whole grant much more attractive because it's a district and a vendor partnering together.
The monies from this grant will be used specifically to pay the instructional specialists and incentive pay for teachers only?
It would also be all of our NIT stuff, which I know that sounds kind of simplistic, but we do a lot of work with NIT. We have some folks coaches that come out, and what this would do is it frees up anything that we would be doing in the future that would have had to come under general, won't have to come under general. And then it also protects current federal programs to where they don't have to take any of the cost of the NIT initiatives. So it really just takes a lot of pressure off. I'll be honest with you, it takes a lot of pressure off me, and it takes a lot of pressure off federal programs to still want to do these things that we were blessed to be able to do during ESSER. But now that ESSER's leaving, we had plans, and I was confident in those plans, but it decreases that pressure immensely. I can tell you when I told Lee, he was ecstatic. Talked to Teaching and Learning, talked to Ms. Rachel. Everyone in-house realizes this is a game changer. So it's very, very exciting stuff.
It's kind of like you don't know what to say now, like.
I mean, any grant, y'all, any grant for $8.5 million is a big deal, but this is the biggest of deals.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I will tell you, there's a district that I know that did this one. Theirs ended up being extended for 7 or 8 years. So,
So what's gonna be required of us to accept this grant?
all we have to do is NIT basically creates the bones of the grant proposal, and then we work with them to provide specific information they need that's contextual to us. And then if it's awarded, it'll just be acceptance of that and, going by we'll have to, Ms. Rochelle she would have a dashboard to comply with the grant, but it would just be like any other grant we have, just a bigger one.
So it's basically like,
No matching, no matching.
so it's basically like collaboration then.
Collaboration, yeah, there's no sort of matching funds, there's nothing of that nature, yeah.
More data control, more pulling numbers from teachers again?
No, this is purely, to apply for the grant, it's purely just us getting like demographic data, things of that nature. We're not saying that teachers would have to do anything more. That being said, for what they're doing, y'all have heard about full TAP districts. I mean, there's teachers who get payouts in these districts of $6,000 to $10,000 for their student achievement data. This would allow us to do, I don't know if we match that number, but we would be in the thousands of dollars for teacher incentive funds. So you're talking about, if we receive this grant, our most effective teachers, their pay would go up.
We may ought to run that literacy goal from 100% up to about 150.
Yeah, when it's collaboration, it's much different than having to actually be the one who.
Yeah, we're not going out fishing. We're being asked to go on a fishing trip with Bill Dance.
Right.
For those of you who don't know the reference, the guy with the Tennessee cap,
Item 7C, consider approving MOU between Dr. Alice Hoyt and Express School Board.
Okay, so what this does, it allows us to have EpiPens in all of our schools. We have students who have nut allergies, then also students who have allergies to hornets and all that.
Students who don't even know they have those allergies yet.
And we have to have an MOU with a physician of record to be able to keep these on grounds, so.
Expensive.
And they used to be cheap, they're not cheap anymore.
No.
Oh,
Any other questions on it? Item 7D, consider approving official journal 23-24.
Yes, and Ms. Revels put this on there. Currently, based on the law, the only one that we can even consider is still the Natchitoches Times. And they have been our journal of record forever.
Item 7E, discuss, consider approving 2023-24 Natchez Parish School Board District Handbook.
Ms. Inger?
Oh,
oh.
and she was so kind to color everything in
Yeah, it's bright yellow.
bright yellow.
You can see what was changed. The first page, a lot of it is just numbers. Dates and things like that is what we changed. The big stuff, I believe, page 3. Let's see. I'm gonna try to follow along on my computer. I probably should. You're asking a lot from me.
I see some yellow on page 7, I think. Oh, you
Okay,
said-
page 3, all we did was, the schools they would like a better, and this probably doesn't capture everything they wanted. They wanted like a timeline to show exactly an attendance, like what happens when you're tardy, what happens when you're absent, like what are the steps of that? And so what I was given didn't kind of work, so I just kind of highlighted and added 5 times. At 5 times, you're in big trouble, basically.
That's just for tardies and late.
Well, that's absences. So if you're tardy or absent, at 5 times, you're in trouble. So I just kind of added that. It was already in there. I just bolded it and underlined it. The yellow will go away. The yellow is just for you guys. Okay, so then I added this sentence as well. So a student shall be considered habitually absent or tardy when either condition continues to exist after all reasonable efforts by school personnel, truancy officer, or other law enforcement personnel have failed to correct the condition after the fifth unexcused absence or fifth unexcused occurrence of being tardy with any school semester. So that means they're gonna be turned into, like, they're gonna get a visit, they're going to get a letter from the court saying that they have been truant, there's an issue. Okay, so I just put that in there because it wasn't actually specifically said, okay? So 3, 4, 9, and 12. So 9, this was already in there, but they wanted it bigger and bolder. So they said they didn't see that sentence, so we just added it. Bigger and bolder. We're on page 13. This is the new NPSB fight policy that you guys have already seen. There was a committee, and so it's just added to the handbook now, which is after one fight now or any fight, then there's some other things that can be put into play. And then we'll go to 13. Yeah, it's the same thing. Then we go to 19. Thanks, this makes it so much easier. Okay, this is new for vaping. As you know, vaping is a huge issue for us, for every district. It's not just us. And so this is what the committee has or some of the committee has come up with. So students found in possession of vape or vape products are using a vape or vape product on school campus, bus, or any school-sponsored event shall be subject to the following consequence: conference and contact the parent, then 3 days of ISS, which they'll be given a written assignment related to the topic, and then they have to complete it prior to returning to regular class. Second offense, there's again a conference and contact of the parents, and then they'll have 3 days of out-of-school suspension. And then the third, conference and contact parents, and then suspended pending a hearing by the hearing officer. Then they could be placed in an alternate placement for 30 days. And then they could be reinstated on probation. In any instance, the vape will be taken and destroyed and discarded. So they don't get to keep it.
We could keep them all and then do an auction at the.
We could. That's probably not a good idea, though. They do share.
Has 5 always been the number for tardies and absences?
Mm-hmm. It's a state. No. That was 19, page 27. Keep going.
They got Crocs.
Dress code. If you'll look on, it just says or sandals. It did say sandals or Crocs. They would like Crocs to have its own bullet and add slides there so that we say no Crocs or slides are allowed because they're worn a lot. So they want them to know that they have their own bullet.
Poor children have been asking for Crocs for so long. But should that C be capitalized?
Actually,
Name brand?
because not necessarily because it's generic to all types.
I have the
of Crocs.
Walmart Croc.
Or Croc-like?
Yeah,
I mean-
Croc-like.
It's up. I can capitalize it if you'd like me to.
But honestly, though, you may have some kids, like, I got these from Walmart, they're not Crocs.
Exactly.
You know,
They will.
So you want me to say Croc?
sometimes Crocs have fur on the inside that keep the feet warm, so
I'm gonna put Crocs and hyphen or slash
any of the,
Croc-like.
like,
Okay, I got it. Okay, so that's been, and then this is the new one. It was taken out last year. I took it out. We've added it back. Because we did not allow nose rings, then we do allow nose rings, but now we're very specific to our nose rings. So facial piercings are allowed in the nostrils only, and only stud earrings allowed. No bars or hoops of any size are allowed. Because they don't want the hoops right here for fighting purposes and things of that nature. And so,
Glad you explained what a hoop was.
You're welcome.
About tongue rings? That was always an issue.
Tongue rings, facial rings can only be in the nose, in the nostril. That's why it's specifically stated that way.
But there could still be a situation when you get involved in a fight, it's still.
But it's supposed to be a stud only.
Okay.
They can't grab it.
Yeah, that's why it says stud only.
But you wear earrings too.
And ultimately, if you choose to participate in a fight, you do take some liability
Right.
on your own, so.
Correct. They just didn't like the bars because they can get big and, yeah, things like that. And then like if they wore the chain from the nose to the ear and stuff like that. 27, 28, we're on 34. Yeah, there's just a date change in the PACE where it says 2023, 24, and then 44 is our compact, and that the parents sign on the back. It's like the next to last page. Yeah, right there. We just added that in addition, we've read the fighting policy, which was added, the tobacco and vaping policy on page 18, and the computer iPad access and use on page 25. Just because they're not, it's just spelled out that they've seen those policies that were added specifically.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. That's it.
On the fight policy, when we had the committee, didn't we bring up something about recording, if kids are recording the fight, that they played a part in that?
I recall that. I wasn't in this meeting, so I don't know if that was taken in the notes, but I'll be honest with you, I don't have the notes from our original meeting. I don't remember what we decided on that.
It was brought up.
Okay.
When we had our committee and the principal.
That would be considered as being a part of a fight?
They wanted wording in there that if a student was recording that fight with their cell phone, that they could be disciplined. They played a part in that. One of your principals brought that up.
That was Mr. Coleman?
It was, and maybe you can check with him exactly how he worded that.
Well, he was
I do
on.
remember cell phones and recording being discussed, and I don't see it in there.
Okay.
We have that anywhere else, Miss?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's in the,
It may not be in the fight policy, but it may.
I think it's in the computer, the electronic device.
But between now and Thursday, we can
Okay.
make sure that it's.
I'm just looking at yellow. I saw that's for me. So
I read something, like I read something in there. I was looking through it a couple days.
No.
Yeah. Well, we can't get that either.
It's on the next page. Keep going.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's right in
I
there.
thought I saw it in there somewhere.
No student is allowed to record, videotape, send
Yeah.
pictures on school-issued devices. That's where it's gonna get you though.
Okay.
No, we're gonna have to change it, because they're gonna say it's not a school-issued device, it's my own phone.
Well, and I'll be honest, there is a difference between this and them recording a fight, so we probably do need to add some language to the fight policy. I would agree with that.
Do we have a policy? Let me, I'm reading, sorry. I should have read first.
No, it's okay. I can't apologize. I thought I had it loaded, and then I just happened to ask Ms. Revels, like, you have my stuff? And she was like, no. It's, technology doesn't always work for me. I was a big girl and did it all by myself, and no, I didn't. I saved it and everything. She was like, it's not there. Huh? Yeah, we did catch it.
So we do still have the same no
Yes,
cell
ma'am.
phone policy.
I think that was the cell phone policy was updated 3 years ago, 2 years ago?
About three.
And all that was basically like a few terminology and some days on
Yeah.
how many days you would get and stuff like that. But nothing since.
Is that it? Oh, I thought I was waiting on something else. Okay. I I will make those changes. Thanks.
I saw something, let me ask you a question. I saw something about, weapons. And it had something about a knife, the size of the knife. And I was concerned because if you have a weapon, it doesn't matter what size a knife is. Pocket knife, it should not be allowed by, for a student to have it on campus.
None of them are allowed. I think it's the difference between an expulsion and a suspension. Is that correct?
Correct.
Based on the size of the knife?
Yes. And that's a state law.
Oh, it is?
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering why,
The big three is what we call it.
why
Yeah.
would it make a difference? If you got a pocket knife, it's illegal.
The state law determines if it's under 2.5 inches, then they consider it, a suspension. If it's over 2.5 inches, then it's an expulsion.
And that's a state law.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
I mean, and some of it goes to the age too, but yes, ma'am, that's the state law. Now, I mean, it can always change, but that is the law as it stands right
And
now.
that goes back to
The
ability-
intent and,
Well, and the ability to cause
Right.
more damage.
right, correct. So,
I have a question about the headgear. It say no other headgear. Okay, if they have a medical problem, they have to bring something from the doctor indicating they gotta have this on their head?
probably, it's probably stated in their, with their IEP or something like that. I mean, it's probably noted, so it's not, it's excused, does that make sense?
We would never make a child,
Right,
for instance, has a safety helmet. They would not have to justify that based on this policy. Their IEP and, I would hope, common sense would trump any need to justify.
You have a doctor's statement.
Yeah, well, but we wouldn't even,
we wouldn't require one because
Yeah.
it's a necessity.
it's a necessity, yeah.
As part of their disability, it's not,
It would be like requiring someone to justify their use of a wheelchair.
right,
I would say those are identical type things.
right. Anything else? Oh, you have something?
Is it okay if I point something out here in this policy I see that could be it's something for you to think about. The state labels a school who suspend more than 20% of their students in a given school year. Our goals for schools have been not to suspend more than 12%. What we just saw in this handbook, step 2 of that vaping policy said 3 days out of school suspension. And we saw this year something that contributed to high suspension rates for quite a few schools was encountering students who were vaping. And so there are other alternatives for punishment other than out of school suspension. If this policy goes into place, there are going to be a lot of out-of-school suspensions because there are probably going to be a lot of second offenses. I'm just pointing that out.
Well, and that goes to something we spoke about at the retreat of what we're doing to address that. So I think we do have, I think you're correct, but I think we do have an answer to that as well moving forward.
But also, if they're K4, it's 5%.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so that makes a difference. So it's 5% and it's 20%. It depends on what their grade level is, determines their percentage. And so,
But we talked to the board. I think the statement I made to y'all is we're walking a tightrope of we don't want to suspend or expel over 20%, but we also don't want to handcuff principals to these, I want to call them arbitrary numbers, but numbers that federal government just kind of chose. And so I think the solution we have that we're going to be providing, I think, information. We provided information at the retreat, but we're also going to be providing information in the July board meeting. We'll address kind of all these issues where.
If you have extenuating circumstances where you may not be able to keep it at that percentage.
Yes, ma'am. And we don't, I mean, I will tell you, I emailed several principals this year when they were at a certain percentage, and I said, it is what it is. Do what you need to do because we cannot ignore some behaviors just because
Yes.
of a federal thing. But we also need to follow federal things as well, so it's the tightrope, so.
So the kids are just basically walking in with the vaping stuff, whatever they do it with?
So a lot of them, they hide them on their person, not in pockets, not in backpacks, on their person, because they just know how they're gonna be checked. Also, a lot of them are very much hard plastic, so you can make our metal detectors very sensitive for some of the metal in the vapes, but it makes it so sensitive that it goes off constantly. You can also purchase vape detectors, but everyone I've talked to in the state who uses the vape detectors say they're not worth it because, say, you vacuum, the vape detector goes off. Say they spray aerosol, vape detector goes off. Say it's humid, which we live in Louisiana, vape detector goes off. And so, and those are about $2,500 to $5,000 a piece. So they have not been effective in doing that. Now, what we do believe is that, especially at the elementary level, and we need to start doing some more in terms of literature to students about why vaping is a bad decision. That being said, y'all, how many of us, 20, 30, 40 years ago smoked because it was cool? We're in a fight with trying to make them understand that just because your peers think it's cool, it's not a good decision because of the harmful nature that we know it causes. But unfortunately, we can speak till we're blue in the face. A lot of them are going to continue to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of the businesses in town are selling these things to them, even though they are not supposed to. And then some of them are getting friends who are of age to get them. So we are somewhat fighting the tide, but we're not going to allow this to continue on our campuses. We're just not. So.
That concludes the meeting, unless somebody else has anything.
Is it an addictive behavior? If it's an addictive.
It's addictive behavior. It is. Most of those things have nicotine, and if they're not substance-wise addictive, they're psychologically addictive.
Because if they're addicted, we got